What up, Poddy People, and welcome back to Clipped. I'm Eric, your host, and Clipped is a podcast that brings you podcast production tips, education, resources, and industry insights to help you start, grow, and monetize a podcast. To learn more about Clipped, head on over to thepodcasthaven.com. That's the ecosystem that this show, Clipped, falls under. If you didn't know, I'm the founder of the Podcast Haven. We're a full-scale podcast production company that creates and produces podcasts for businesses and brands. In addition to Clipped being part of our original content, we're actually in the process of coming up with more original content that's going to be out in the future. So would love for you to go to thepodcasthaven.com and check out everything that we're offering. If you're a brand or business that's looking to start a podcast, be sure to fill out a contact form on the website. I'd be happy to get in touch with you and walk you through the process of what that would look like. And in addition, I'm putting out articles every week that offer a wealth of resources, tools, and advice to help you thrive in the podcasting world. That's thepodcasthaven.com. All right, guys, in today's episode, I'm talking about two new features that Spotify has launched. And these two features are the question and answer feature and the polls feature. And so these two things are part of the revamped Spotify for Podcasters dashboard. If you didn't know, Spotify for Podcasters is essentially a platform that you log into that's going to give you valuable analytics. There's educational materials, there's promotional materials, all designed to help you promote your podcast and grow your podcast on Spotify. It's called Spotify for Podcasters. It's been around, but as of like a month and a half or 2 months ago, they totally revamped it. And two of the features that I'm going to be talking about today, there's several things up there, but the question and answer feature and the polls feature is what I'm going to be giving you on this episode. So let's get into it.
Explain something.
As you can tell, I'm sick as shit. You can hear it in my voice. I finally got it. My daughter of 9 months, her second time being sick. And about a week ago, she had runny nose and coughing. She still kind of has that. And I finally got it. And man, it hit me hard. This is like the fourth day maybe. Starting to feel a little bit better, but it's not COVID. I tested for COVID. I've had COVID. This is almost worse than that. Like I feel like I got hit by a train. It's kind of random and I usually don't get this sick. So not feeling the best, but I'm here with you today bringing you another episode. This is episode 45 and I'm stoked to be here and I'm stoked to be dropping information. Okay, so the question and answer feature and the polls feature are these two new features that are part of the revamped Spotify for Podcasters dashboard. If you didn't know, if you have a podcast, you can log into Spotify for Podcasters. You go to spotify.podcasters.com and you enter your RSS feed. And once you've done this, you're going to have access to all these tools. Like I mentioned, the educational stuff, there's graphics stuff, and the Q&A and polls feature, which are dope. Going to start with the Q&A. So the Q&A feature on Spotify for Podcasters allows you to engage with your audience by inviting them to answer questions that you prompt. So the Q&A feature, you may have seen it. I don't know about desktop, but on your smartphone, if you call up the Spotify app, click on podcasts, and then you're going to see that certain shows have been interacting with their fans and setting up questions for the fans to answer. And so here's how you do this. You go to your Spotify for Podcasters dashboard. You're going to log in. You're going to select the episode that you want to enable the Q&A feature on. You're going to navigate to the audience tab. Then you're going to turn on the question and answer feature. There's like a toggle switch. You can turn it on. Now here's the fun part. Then you can customize questions to encourage your audience to answer. So like I did a recent episode on this AI tool and I said, hey, have you guys used this? What do you think of this? Or it could be super generic. Like, what did you think about this episode? Yeah, so you can monitor these questions that are coming in, and it's just a great way to engage with your audience. I mean, how cool is it? You would have thought they would have done this sooner, but people listen to your podcast, ask them questions. They probably want to interact with you. If they like the show and they're digging you as a host, get some feedback. Ask them what they think of the episode. Ask them, is there anything I could have done differently on this episode? What would you like me to go more in depth on? And you can use this to your advantage. And I'm going to show you how. I'm going to give you some best practices for the Q&A feature right now. So you want to be clear and specific with your prompt. Make sure it's clear and concise. You want to encourage listener engagement. So use your social media channels and other communication platforms to remind your listeners that you have the Q&A feature set up on Spotify and you can encourage them to participate. Obviously, the more engaged your audience is, the more valuable the Q&A session will be for both of you. And be sure to respond. So if you're going to set this up, when the questions come in, make sure you take time to craft like a thoughtful, considerate response. This is going to help you create a meaningful dialogue with your audience and just demonstrate that you're committed to them because they're committed to you. A good thing to do too with this is to highlight like the most popular episodes. So look at your analytics, see what episodes, if they're evergreen, are still getting a lot of downloads. And maybe start with those episodes because you know that those episodes are really well liked by your audience. Or maybe you have like a somewhat controversial episode or something that's like thought-provoking. Maybe one of your episodes can lead to a good dialogue about a specific topic. Getting back to what I just mentioned about AI, I did an episode on AI. That's certainly thought-provoking. There's a lot of opinions about that. So I left a question. Hey, what did you guys think of this episode? What do you think of the AI service? Let me know. It's just a great way to get feedback and build community. Because as you know, the biggest part of growing the podcast is building community and making sure you engage with that community. And just have fun with this, guys. Experiment, maybe periodically assess the effectiveness of your Q&A sessions. Look for ways to improve. Look for ways to have fun. That's my big thing, is having fun. So that's likely where more of my questions are going to lead in the future. But yeah, see what's working well, what questions you got the most engagement on, and maybe double down on that. Refine some of your question asking prompts. I think just continuously experimenting with this is going to be a great way to get your audience involved with your show. And that's the question and answer feature on the new Spotify for Podcasters dashboard. Just to recap, you're going to go to Spotify for Podcasters. And the website for that is spotify.podcasters.com. Then you're going to enter your RSS feed. You're going to turn on the Q&A feature. And then you can it has like all the episodes laid out. You can go down one by one and you can come up with prompts and questions that you want to ask your audience. And just to reiterate, everybody has access to this. If you have a podcast and it's on Spotify, probably don't even know, but you will have a Spotify for Podcasters account created when you input your RSS feed. This episode of Clipped is brought to you by Riverside.fm. With Riverside, you can record studio quality podcasts and video from anywhere in the world. It's time to say goodbye to complicated setups and hello to seamless, high quality recording. Riverside records high quality WAV files and up to 4K video files. You heard that right, people. 4K video, all from your web browser. No more worrying about losing quality during the recording process. If you're using something else, you should check out Riverside because I think you're going to love it. I've personally been using Riverside for several years. I've been helping my clients record shows. I log in, I run the session. I also use it to record the audio and video version of this podcast. And I love that after you record, all the files are stored on Riverside's cloud. And so I don't have to worry about moving files around from hard drive to hard drive or to my laptop and then to my desktop. I simply log in and I can see everything that was recorded and I download those files and I'm good to go. And honestly, sometimes I'm traveling and I can use Riverside on my smartphone, which I love because the smartphone camera is killer and I can plug my mic in and I can have a fully functioning high quality studio right there on my phone. If you're not convinced, maybe this will help you out. Clipped listeners, if you're interested in checking out Riverside, use promo code CLIPPED to get an exclusive 20% discount on any individual Riverside membership plan. That's CLIPPED, CLIPPED, to get an exclusive 20% discount on any individual Riverside membership plan. Go to riverside.fm and sign up today. It's crazy, like just thinking about how Spotify, how much like they've invested into podcasting, like Joe Rogan and Dax Shepard and Call Her Daddy and all like the original content that they paid big money for. And it's just interesting because they're adding features like this and they're really like doubling down and diving headfirst into podcasting. Well, they already have, and now they're just building upon that. But it's interesting that, you know, Apple doesn't have anything like this, and Apple still is like the number one listening app. But Spotify is coming up. They're crushing it. So it'll be exciting to see what they do with this in the future. I'm still mainly an Apple guy, but a lot of this stuff is really allowing me to gravitate more towards Spotify. And I'm digging the features. And so wanted to hit you with this polls feature as well. So polls are great for helping you gather feedback and opinions and or preferences from your listeners. Here's a step-by-step guide on how to use the polls feature. Very similar. You're going to go to your Spotify for Podcasters dashboard, and I'll say the website one more time, spotify.podcasters.com. You're going to see all your episodes there. You're going to select the episode that you want to create a poll for. You're going to navigate to the audience tab and click polls. And I know this is all audio and or video if you're listening on YouTube. And I'm explaining how to do this, but it's very intuitive when you log into your Spotify for Podcasters account. Very easy to access all this. They have it laid out in really intuitive and in a great interface. So if I'm going through these steps, like navigate to the audience tab and then click polls, it'll be very obvious to you when you log in. So you're going to turn the polls feature on. There's a toggle switch. You're going to turn it on. And then you can create your poll by entering a question and providing multiple choice options. You can provide up to 4 answers for each poll that you do. Your listeners will choose from one. You're going to set the duration of your poll, which can range from a few hours to several days. I have one up right now, even longer than several days. I set the expiration date for like the end of June just to play around and just to see. This is my first time using this stuff as well. And so you can monitor the results of your poll in real time from within the dashboard. And this, I think, is obvious, but if not, your listeners are going to see the polls and the Q&As that you set up when they listen to your show on Spotify and select an episode. You're going to see like Q&As that the host set up for every episode, or a poll that they set up for particular episodes. So as a listener, if you haven't even seen this yet, go to one of your favorite podcasts and see if they have set up any questions or any polls. Maybe start with a bigger show. That way, I'd imagine some of those big top dogs have probably started this first before like more independent creators. I don't know why, but you'll find one. Go through a few shows and you can kind of see what this looks like and how the listeners interact with it, because you're going to be setting these up on your side from the host perspective. But I think it's important to go in and look at them as a listener or as one of your fans would be seeing them. So here's some best practices for polls. Create engaging and relevant questions. When designing your poll questions, make sure they're engaging and relevant to the episode content. Just don't make up some random shit. You're going to want to like get in the heads of your listeners. It's going to encourage them to want to participate. Keep the choices simple and clear. Avoid like making it too complicated. It's a poll, keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. KSS. Keep it KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Again, use your social media channels to let your audience know, hey, I've got a poll up on this episode. Would love for you to give me some feedback. And then make sure you share the results of your polls. You could do this for the Q&As too. Maybe in an episode, if you're having a lot of success with this and a lot of engagement, talk to your audience on your podcast. Be like, hey guys, I noticed on episode 35, you guys all answered a question. And a lot of you responded like X and a lot of you responded like Y. And I just want to dive in more to talk to you guys about the specific subject matter, whatever it is. Or If it's a poll, hey, I noticed you guys all love the episodes where I talk about X, Y, and Z. Get as involved as you can with your people, with your tribe. Check the effectiveness of these polls, see how you can use these polls to craft better content that your audience is more willing to consume. It's just a great way to interact, yes, but also assess where you're at and where your fans are at. And thinking about, hey, I did 5 episodes on AI and those really crushed it. So maybe my audience wants to hear more about AI. Ask them. And when you get those answers, you'll have a good idea of the type of content you need to be creating moving forward. It's not like you need to do this on every episode, guys. This is just a way to periodically get your compass, get your roadmap going, kind of figure out what's working and what's not working directly from your listeners. I'm sick as shit. My voice is gone. I feel like I got a frog in my throat. Sound like I got a frog in my throat. I just hope that you find these features helpful in enhancing your podcast experience on Spotify. Stay tuned for future episodes where I'm going to continue exploring developments in the world of podcasting. And before you go, again, go to thepodcasthaven.com and check out the blogs for Clipped, the show notes for Clipped. I go way more in depth. And I've also got a ton of articles talking about things happening in the podcast space, giving you tools and resources on things that you can use to help your workflow, to speed up your production, to develop better content, and ultimately grow and monetize your podcast. I'm Eric, and I will be back next week. Thank you guys, and I'm out.
I know I cover up my fault lines with silly putty. Like the laughs gonna make the bad shit turn to nothing, but that's rubber, I'm glue. All I say stick to you, trying to get closer to the truth. Man, I ain't 22 no more. Gotta shoot for the moon, fuck if I fall on the floor. I always get back up, ask for more. I'ma keep playing pain strings till they chanting encore. Do you? Don't let them push your youth through a door that they open. This an open wound, I'm an open book. I'm a kook, shooting hoop dreams, they breaking through the roof. They be at the tree of Eden, trying to tear out all its roots. I be aiming for a king, playing around in a booth. Like this'll all work out. Tell my mama I'll be cool, she ain't gotta worry about her little chicken flew the coop. Chicken, little knew the truth. The sky's always falling down. Everybody's reaching out, thinking they can grab the clouds.